Right, let's get into some nerdy news.
Yes.
Christ. This has been a great episode. Everything's been so positive and nice. It's just so nice to be able to enjoy stuff.
Can't wait for
We're
something in the news to ruin
Yeah.
this.
I don't know. I like, obviously I've written the news, or not written the news. I've brought the news together. I am not the one in control of the media. Or
That's
I
what
don't know if
someone
they
in
bought that.
control would tell
Yeah,
us.
I don't know if they bought that. Right. In a Variety report, Daniel Craig has said, "The people I speak to, all they want to do is take their families and go see it at the cinemas. Hopefully, we can give them that experience." And he is hoping to fight Netflix to get Knives Out 3 a theatrical release. This comes after the reports that apparently in a meeting or a premiere of Knives Out 2, when he told the Netflix CEO, "This is why you need to do a theatrical release," and they went, "That isn't our model." He went, "Your model fucking sucks."
Yeah. I mean, I respect to him for like fighting this. I don't know if he wins. Like,
Neither do I, but it's one of them ones where loving Daniel Craig as an actor and finding out that he also really cares about art being treated respectfully is just it's like, yes.
here's my thing for like from Netflix's point of view. It's like Daniel Craig is an incredible actor and is well loved by his fans. He obviously him being in Knives Out is a huge pull to that.
I mean,
Like,
the Knives Out casts are always stacked because of the nature of the
yeah,
film. Like, there's so many big names. You'd think it's a marketing person's dream for a theatrical release.
but like they'd be so because like the way I look at it is like if they don't do theatrical release here, no matter how much he fights. If I'm Daniel Craig, once I'm done with Knives Out and that tied to Netflix, I'm not giving Netflix any of my other projects that I'm in. Like I'm not
Exactly.
like
I mean,
your short-term thought process and model is going to ruin you long-term Netflix because actors are just not going to trust you with anything, or producers or directors or anything.
we literally saw this, 2 weeks ago when the report came out that Christopher Nolan's newest film, apparently Netflix offered more money than anyone, but
Mm,
Christopher Nolan was like, "But you won't give me a theatrical release, so no."
yeah, like eventually their model's going to have to change. I just don't know if it changes in time for it.
I know I'm not a
That's all.
CEO and I know I have ulterior motives to Netflix. If I was Netflix, I'd be investing in the cinema space.
They were originally going to do that, didn't they? Try and buy a cinema chain.
I don't quite know, but if I'm Netflix, you buy your own cinemas, or you buy a few, you do full theatrical releases, and then you acquire more and more cinemas, and then you do theatrical releases only in your cinemas. And then you can fuck capitalism, but I would be such a good capitalist if I hated people. Then you increase your subscription price or introduce a new tier that's more expensive that includes an X amount of cinema tickets a month to go
True.
see Netflix films in the cinema. And then guess what? You've got theatrical releases that have ticket sales. So guess what's going to be easier? Getting people like Christopher Nolan to make films for you. And then that is people going to only your cinema. They could make it like how Sony like market the PlayStation 5, like the only place to play Spider-Man,
Mm.
or The
Look
Last
at
of
it.
Us Part 2 remastered 12 times.
Think of it this way: like if you're Netflix and you buy like your own cinema chain, right? So then you have full control of what it shows. You could do something like knowing their model with TV where they drop it all in one go and people binge it. Imagine they did a theatrical release of the new season of Stranger Things where you could buy a ticket and you're sat in there to binge the whole thing with a whole group of people.
It would sell.
Yeah, it would
It
sell
would.
massively.
You
But
you could even you could even sell tickets for it and go, right, we will be binging the show, but if you can't make that, these are when the episodes are out and your ticket will get you into every episode. If you want
yeah,
to
they
watch
could
it in the
also do
cinema. Yeah.
episodic release.
So they'll be like,
So
yeah, on release night we'll do the 12-hour binge. But if you can only do the first 3 episodes, don't worry. Come back. Your ticket will still get you into 4, 5, and 6, and you can make it 4 nights out of the cinema.
yeah.
Like, it's fuck capitalism, but I'd be really good at it if someone gave me the money. Marvel are apparently submitting Agatha All Along in the comedy category for any award shows like the Emmys.
As they should do.
It's a difficult one. No, it shouldn't be in the comedy section. But When the
He was
comedy
the bear.
section includes things like the bear,
Yeah.
it's in the right section. Because, although I do prefer the bear, Agatha All Along, tonally, is very similar to the bear. It has moments to make you laugh. It has moments to make you go, "Oh Christ, that's a bit deep."
Yeah.
It sits on that line where it like gives you a wide range of emotions. It made me laugh more than some shows that are considered actual fucking comedies. So
Yeah, that's we've learned from the bear that the comedy category is a very loose term for that. It's
unless
basically
you are high drama, you are in the
yeah,
comedy category.
basically. So I mean, as it should be submitted for these awards, we said the other like after it was done that this needs to get, at least for the writing or directing on certain episodes, like it should get recognized for that. I'm sure it'll also get awards for costume and prop and all that stuff.
So, an interesting caveat to this.
Oh.
There is speculation that them putting it in these categories might mean that we get another season. Because if you're not planning a second season, why would you not try and get it in the limited series category, which might have a better chance of winning awards? It might just be they view the comedy category as a large category, so they want to try and compete there. But some people are saying, is that because you're thinking of doing another season?
I can see that logic. I would just say we know that they're trying to make a more concited effort with TV at Disney Plus now with the writing. Like they're making the effort to do things a bit more how TV should be done.
Yes, absolutely.
I could see them almost using, because they know this has been well received and well liked. If they get it into this award, whether they make a second season or not, or whether they win or not, it's helpful to help then Disney TV shows are more likely to be considered in the future for things like Daredevil, which potentially will have multiple seasons.
Yes.
Like, it's almost like a getting the foot in the door, even if they don't lose because they're against a lot of competition. It's getting that respect for their name to be included.
Yeah, completely agree. Matt Reeves has said any other spin-offs from his Batman universe will be character-driven, like the Penguin. This was said in an interview with Andy Serkis.
I think he said similar things.
Yeah. It's very clear that anything Reeves does in his universe is going to be character focused, which is only a good thing, as long as it's still done well.
Yeah, and I'm so on board with the idea of like the TV shows or spin-offs in that sense are very focused on the character that they've spun off, like the Penguin has been, where it's like they're not leaning on the Batman showing up every other episode.
Well, I think the thing with these things is if you want to do a show based on a theme or a concept, why are you marrying yourself to an IP like Batman?
Yeah.
Like them IPs, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, James Bond, the big IPs. Why would you want anything to do with them if you're not going to be character focused? True. Because that's what the IP of them characters bring. It brings a character for you to tell a story with.
Yeah.
Whereas if he just wants to tell a noir detective crime story, guess what? You will have a lot easier time doing that if you tell that story by itself. So like it's one of the ones where it's like, I don't know why you'd want to do anything in a Batman universe so heavily that isn't character first.
Do you know what I think? I think people obviously have made things that are Batman visually in like the very classic looking Batman, but not very necessarily very well done character driven. Whereas, like you say, comics are character driven, and yes, Batman has a very specific style, but also comics, as we've said many times, different artists get to do different runs and can often change how it looks for their run of a comic. Like they get to have fun with the art style. Matt Reeves is essentially doing that. He's doing the character focus, like comic books are, like very strongly focused on Batman or the Penguin, but he's having fun with his own art style of a comic in the world that he's creating around them characters.
this is a step in that direction of what we've been talking about a fair bit recently, of comic books aren't a genre. Comic book movie isn't a genre. Detective noir is a genre, and he's doing a character story in that genre with the Batman.
Yeah.
Just like if you really wanted to, you could do a character-driven Batman story in I don't know, like a 1970s pop art style. Like you could absolutely tell that. Like, Grant and I may maybe go more Batman Beyond for that kind of art style, but you know, you can actually do any kind of visual styling you want with these characters, because it should be story driven. And like you said, it's just like a different artist deciding to draw it a different way. That's the way it should be treated.
Yeah, as long as you're going in story driven, it works. Which is why the Matt Reeves stuff has been working so well. And I'm excited to see, knowing that the Penguin came from what happened in Batman 1, we know there's going to be some other side character set up in Batman 2, excluding of the main villain and whatever's going on, that they then spin off. Like, though he'll, in writing Batman 2, he's going to find what he knows is going to be the next spin off.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll wait and see.
I'm very, very excited. Reuters, which is not a normal publication we discuss here, it's actually a very large financial publication. And I'll explain why. They've reported that Netflix has had offices in France and Netherlands raided regarding tax fraud and potential money laundering allegations. This was a conducive effort between the Netherlands and French police. Netflix maintains it will cooperate fully and has done nothing wrong. It is worth noting other tech companies have had things like this happen before and nothing comes of it, because of whatever reason. These kind of companies can sometimes be more susceptible to seeming like they've done something wrong. However, fuck corporations, I don't trust them. So it's worth keeping an eye on.
It's one of those things where I can see how, because they're obviously American-based companies, but also working in other countries, like when you've got something that was originally American, spread out offices around the world, things with money can get a bit messy because you're dealing with cross-country stuff.
Yeah.
I could see how stuff gets messed up, but people like Netflix scale very easily can just hide things.
It's one
things
of the
into
ones.
loopholes.
No one is going to cancel their Netflix subscription over getting raided because of this. So it's not going to cause the company damages that way. And it's the best way for them to make sure that everything is above board. Yeah. Because, like you say, when you're dealing with that amount of money across the globe, it's very easy to hide shit, especially like in a money laundering way. You just go, oh yeah, there are 5,000 people here paying for a subscription and over here that don't actually exist.
Yeah.
Like, it would be insanely easy.
It's actually just like 100 phones in China on someone's butt.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's probably nothing, but it's always interesting to see what's going on in the big bad world of business.
Yeah.
Speaking of Netflix and money,
well,
Arcane seasons 1 and 2 cost a combined $250 million to make, making it the most expensive animated series of all time.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but also Netflix has a lot of money and Riot has a lot of money.
I'm going to ask you this, as obviously I haven't seen Arcane. Maybe I will do a trade with you and watch that for the stuff that you finally caught up with. Does it look good enough to warrant that amount of money? Bearing in mind the Wild Robot, which I went and saw the other week, only cost $85 million to make, and that was a feature length that was arguably one of the greatest pieces of animation I've watched.
I would say you've got to look at it in the terms of Riot has found their style of animation. And that took a good few years. This cost will have included them ramping up, because this has been done in-house. Like Riot's done this.
That cost isn't the cost to Netflix, including a licensing fee?
I don't know what this cost will include, but I know that Arcane has been done by Riot in-house, because through the years, Riot has become more than just a game studio. Like
Yes.
they have a whole music production, Riot Music, that like makes songs for their thing. Like they have that as a whole wing of Riot. They then, as cinematics improved and they found a style that was a bit more animated-esque, their animation, like they've built an in-house animation team and studio for their own cinematics and stuff that then got brought in. Like when Arcane was happening, it was like, oh, we already have this, we just ramp everything up. So I imagine some of this cost is essentially ramping all that up so that they could make the show. I think their art style for their stuff is great. They have some of the best gaming cinematics in my point of view, and the style of it adds to that. I think season 1 was incredible. It's also, for people that haven't watched or don't know League, you can watch Arcane 1 and understand. Like, my brother-in-law has no idea other than League was a game. He watched season 1 and really enjoyed it. So it's like, I think it's money well spent. Riot has a fucked it. Like, I can guarantee they will make not obviously all of it back, but they'll have made a fair chunk from just the marketing in games through skins.
So here's my thing with this. I don't know who this cost is to.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the cost Riot have or if this is the cost Netflix have. Or if it's just all of the cost to get this onto Netflix, forgetting any money that may have changed hands. So if it cost Netflix, say, 125 million to buy it off Riot, and Riot spent 125 million making it, you could argue that it cost $250 million to make, but actually it only cost 125 million because Netflix bought it off them for how much it cost them to make it. So I don't know how the numbers break down. For all we know, it cost 170 million to make, Netflix paid 80, etc.
Yes.
But like you say, Riot probably have made money on this. No, they definitely will, because they wouldn't have made a season 2 if it was losing the money. They will have, say, spent 120 million to animate it. Netflix have paid them 100 million or even 120. They've gone, we'll cover the cost. And then Riot's upside is all the money they've made from Valorant with the Arcane skins and League of Legends with the Arcane stuff that's related to the show and all that.
You also have to look at the fact of, since Arcane season 1, Valorant obviously came out, which was like that cinematics and stuff. Like, them ramping up at their own Riot animation studio for this has also benefited them with all the cinematics and stuff they do for their games, for like World. Like, they make, like, them ramping it up, they took the money and essentially have built themselves a studio that is also helping them in all other aspects of the Riot business. So it's like win-win for them.
Absolutely. So maybe I'll give it a watch.
I recommend.
Deadline tonight, as we get ready to record, have reported that Star Wars episodes 10 to 12 are in the works, but some insiders are suggesting this may not actually be episodes 10 to 12 of the Skywalker saga, but rather the beginning of a new saga.
I really don't want it to be episodes 10 to 12. I really don't.
Here's the thing, my instant reaction, whether it's Skywalker saga or not, is just, I'm scared. And like, it's so dramatic to be scared about a film, but I'm just like, when Marvel announce a new project, I am never ever scared. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure that's a great idea, but we'll give it a go. Star Wars have swung and missed a lot with films. They've got nervous about the quality of films, to the point now where I'm really worried they're going to placate a certain section of the audience, and as a result we're going to get a much worse product for it, especially if the placating of that audience means that it is actually episode 10, 11 and 12. Because we need to be done with the Skywalker saga.
Here's my thing. I don't think it will be 10. There's two mindsets right now, because we know there is the Rey film being made. It's going to show what Rey did after 7, 8 and 9. Either they've been writing that and gone, oh, we can turn this into another trilogy, which I think is a bad call.
So do I.
Or it's not 10, 11, 12 because the Ray film's coming out and they don't want to do more than just one more on the end. And this is a new one, but like internally, it's just being called episodes 10, 11, and 12 because it's the next three, the next three. But it could be a completely different saga. Like maybe it's set way later. My thing is, I want to be proven wrong with this, but whatever it is, even if it's somewhat decent, Star Wars fans will hate it. Like they'll spit their dummy out and they won't like it and it'll get bad press.
Whether we like it or not, there are a selection of people in the world who get paid to be upset even if they're not really upset.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that they don't genuinely dislike some of the stuff that gets made, but I'm also telling you their bank balance looks a lot happier, a lot healthier when they are unhappy with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which means nothing that's ever going to get made by a big company ever again is going to have everyone agreeing it's a good thing, especially when it's part of a long-running franchise. Because there'll be someone who's going to make more money by being upset.
It's also the thing of like, because it's still Disney, everyone will like, until it's not got Disney attached to it, they just won't give it a chance, which is wild. All I hope is if there is a new trilogy in the works, and whether it's a new saga or what, please do not change director halfway through. Because that fucked you last time. I hope they fucking learn. Even if it means delaying the project for whatever reason. Also, please, if you want this to be somewhat well received, you need to tell people early on, as it starts to come out, that like, oh, Dave Filoni is like strongly involved in this. Like, he is the only person that fans will put any faith in. And if he's not attached to this project, people are going to be like, we don't trust it. Whereas if he's come out and said like he's actively one of the main people helping with this, people will give it some more of a chance. At least I think they will.
Yeah, I agree. But there are also people who are really anti-Filoni. This is the thing. Whenever something gets really large, you're going to have people who disagree on the core kind of tenets of what makes it great. And as a result, as like people like me and you, who we slightly disagree on our preferred side of it, you're a little bit more on the mystical side, I'm a little bit more on the political side, but we can still enjoy the other half of it. I think that's where you start to get, and like, I do genuinely believe most people do just want the best for the franchise.
Yeah.
But it stopped being about, oh, I prefer them doing this, and it started being, fuck you because you convinced them to do the thing I didn't want. And that's kind of spiraled out of control over the last 6 years.
I also, with how Acolyte was received, I worry that this will be still tied to the Skywalker, because I said it after Acolyte, like, I don't know if Disney is bold enough to still try and go to a new era. Like, I think
I completely agree.
They'll play it too safe, unfortunately.
Completely agree.
Speaking of Disney.
And then, yeah. D23 Brazil. It's kind of weird because it's not their main D23 event, which we would normally cover. But it's being pumped up to have a bit of substance to it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what to expect. The thing I said before we started recording when we noticed that this was happening was, I don't think Disney are going to burn a crazy, oh my god, what the fuck announcement on an event that has a subcategory of like where it is in the world.
Yeah. My only thing is like with the internet, it doesn't really matter where it is in the world. Like it'll go on the internet and it'll spread. Like it's one of those. We've recently had the TV slate. If anything, maybe they go into showing a bit more footage on some of those set date shows like Daredevil.
I think we can maybe expect a new trailer for Skeleton Crew because that comes out soon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be amazed at a trailer for Captain America: Brave New World because that's February.
Yeah.
An extended look at something like Daredevil wouldn't shock me.
Or What If, because that's December.
That's December as well. But an actual announcement of something new, I just don't see. But more trailers and stuff is always good times because it means we know we're getting closer to something. We get an idea of what the vibe's going to be.
They might also give an updated trailer for Spider-Man animated.
That'd be cool as well. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm
delayed.
hoping to get out of this.
I think basically what we've already seen on the slate, we might get a bit of an extended look on some of those things. And this is the first thing since that came out, so maybe they'll discuss it a bit. But yeah, like you said, I don't think there's going to be any big brand new reveals. I've said it before, like Star Wars, any big Star Wars stuff that we want to find out about, like Andor Season 2 and different things like that, like Ahsoka Season 2, they're going to be saved for the Star Wars Celebration next year. Like, those are like big Star Wars things. Like, they're going to wait. So, just kind of wait and see, I guess.